Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. In today's lecture we will be discussing measures of disease occurrence and some other important epidemiological terms. Disease occurrence is measured by assessing morbidity. So what is morbidity? Morbidity refers to the state of being unhealthy or having a disease. In epidemiology, it refers to the number of people who are sick within a population. In simple terms, morbidity measures the frequency of disease, illness, injury, or disability in a population. To measure morbidity, we use two main metrics: incidence and prevalence. We will discuss each of these in detail, but before that, let's first understand two important mathematical concepts related to this topic: rate and proportion. So, what is a rate? A rate is a measure of how quickly an event of interest occurs. It is expressed as x over y into 10 raised to power n, where n may be 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000. For example, if you drive from point A to point B at a speed of 50 km per hour and the distance between 2 points is 50 km, you will reach point B in 1 hour. However, if you increase your speed, you will arrive sooner. This shows that a rate changes over time. Another example is the currency exchange rate, such as dollar to pound exchange rate. Exchange rates can change daily or even hourly. The rate you get today may be different from the rate you get tomorrow. In epidemiology, every rate should specify three things: time, place, and population. Another important point to remember is that in a rate, the numerator is not necessarily a subset of the denominator. Also, the rate is different from a proportion. Now, let's talk about proportion. Proportion is a type of ratio in which the numerator x is included within the denominator y. It is expressed as x over y into 10 raised to power n, and the result is expressed as a percentage. For example, imagine a class in which some students are wearing red shirts and others are wearing green shirts. If 4 students are wearing red shirts out of a total of 10 students, then 4 divided by 10 into 100 is 40%. Therefore, the proportion of students wearing red shirt is 40%. In this example, the numerator is part of the denominator because the 4 students wearing red shirts are included in the total number of the students in the class. Now let's learn about some important terminologies. The first term is numerator. The numerator represents the disease cases, deaths, or any health-related event, for example, vaccinations. Another important term used in epidemiology is denominator. Denominator represents the population at risk. These are the people who are susceptible to developing the disease and are therefore known as the susceptible population. For example, consider measles cases among children aged 10 to 15 years in the USA. In this example, the children who have measles represent the cases or the numerator, while the total population of children aged 10 to 15 years in the USA represents the denominator. Now let's move on to our main topic, prevalence and incidence. First, we will discuss prevalence. The disease status of a population at a specific point in time is measured by prevalence. Prevalence describes the proportion of a population that is in a diseased state at a particular point in time. There are two types of prevalence: point prevalence and prevalent prevalence. However, the most commonly used type is point prevalence. Now let's look at an example of point prevalence. Here we have a population observed over several points in time, represented by different days. Let's say we choose day 3 as our specific point in time. We then count the number of people who are sick on day 3. In this example, the number of sick individuals is 1, 2, and 3. So there are 3 diseased individuals. Next, we count the total population, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the total population is 5. Therefore, the numerator is 3 diseased individuals and the denominator is 5 total individuals. So 3 by 5 is our 3 divided by 5 is our point prevalence. If we will change the point in time, prevalence will also change. For example, if we will choose day 6, there is only one sick case, so the estimate will change. In simple terms, point prevalence measures the proportion of people who have the disease at a specific point in time. The formula for prevalence is number of people having the disease or event at a specific point in time divided by total population at that point in time. In prevalence calculation, we include all existing cases of the disease. This means that both new cases and old cases are included in the numerator. So when calculating prevalence, the numerator includes all individuals who currently have the disease, whether the disease developed recently or existed previously. The denominator includes the total population at that specific point in time. Another factor in prevalence is time. In prevalence, we specify only a single point in time rather than a time period. We measure the disease status only at that particular point, not over an extended duration. It is important to remember that prevalence measures the proportion of the disease individuals at a single point in time, whereas incidence measures the occurrence of new cases over a period of time. Next, we will discuss incidence. So, what is incidence? Incidence measures what happens over a period of time. It describes the transition from a disease-free state to a diseased state. In other words, incidence measures the occurrence of new cases among healthy individuals. To calculate incidence, we always begin with a population of healthy people and observe them over a specified period of time to see how many individuals develop the disease. One very important factor in incidence is the time period. We must always specify the time period when calculating incidence. Incidence is the most suitable measure for cohort studies, clinical trials, and longitudinal studies because these study designs follow participant over time. The formula for incidence is number of new cases divided by population at risk during a specified period of time. In incidence calculation, only new cases are included in the numerator. Individuals who already have the disease at the beginning of the study are not included as new cases. Another important concept is the population at risk, also known as the susceptible population. We include only those persons who are at risk of developing a disease, who have potential to become cases. People who already have the disease or cannot develop it are excluded from the denominator. For example, if we are working with a disease which is vaccine preventable, vaccinated individual will be excluded from the denominator because they are no longer considered at risk and they cannot develop the disease. The people who already have the disease will also be excluded from the denominator. The third important factor is time. As discussed earlier, we must clearly specify the observation period when calculating incidence. This period could be 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, or even several years. It depends upon the person who is calculating. During this specified period, we observe healthy individuals to determine whether they transition from a healthy state to a disease state. That's all for today. If you have any question, put them in the comments below. And if you like my video, please support my channel. Thank you for watching.